As soon as you spend some time following game development online, you'll be drawn into a time-honored debate. Unity or Unreal? There's a lot of time spent debating these two engines, and surprisingly it's not just developers. Even some gamers state that they have a preference for games from a particular engine. And I've always found this pretty weird. It's like preferring cakes baked in Samsung ovens, or telling a baker that they should have used a Bosch. And I think this comes from a misunderstanding of what an engine really is. Game engines are simply tools, and just like an oven doesn't determine the taste of a cake, a game engine doesn't determine the quality of a game. And yet for some, a lot of weight is put into this choice of engine. And I do get it, it's a big commitment if you plan to finish a substantial game, but the thing is, these are the two most advanced game engines to ever be publicly available, and they're each highly capable. Some folks insist that one or the other sucks, but that tends to be a trend for anything gaming related where there are two or more choices. I've been making games for 8 years, and I certainly don't claim to be an expert, but I do like to think I've learned a few lessons in that time. I've experimented with my fair share of engines, from trying to write my own to SDL and Cocos 2DX, and a number of other forgotten engines. When I started learning Unity about 6 years ago, it was a game changer, with tooling far beyond any of the other engines I'd used. And it's only really improved since then. And the thing is, it wasn't even a real decision to be made. At the time, Unreal had a subscription fee, so I just picked Unity. And this was really a blessing, as I didn't waste a moment thinking about which engine was better, I just got to work and I started learning. That said, had I picked Unreal instead, I don't think I'd actually be in a much different position to where I am now. Often there's this expectation from gamers and new developers that the engine is a make or break decision. They do have pros and cons, sure, but they're also homogenizing quite quickly. For example, it used to be recommended that developers go with Unity, as it was focused on C#, and artists go with Unreal for its focus on visual scripting. Nowadays though, each time one of them adds a feature, you can be pretty confident that the other is going to be close behind. After all, Unity now has native visual scripting, and Unreal has improved their C++ solution, and in similar fashion you'll find most features dominant in one engine do tend to turn up at the other. One of the most heated arguments often focuses on graphics, and I've actually had comments that claim I should remake my game Farewell North in Unreal so that it'll look better. Unreal Engine 5 has certainly impressed with its photorealistic tech demos, and it can be tempting, but unless you have a AAA budget and the team to actually build these assets, the engine isn't going to automatically create a graphical masterpiece for you, and I'm certainly not talented enough to create all those assets myself. Besides, not every game should look photorealistic, and there are breathtaking tech demos made in both engines. Aside from a few specific scenarios, such as Unity being the clear-cut better choice for 2D and mobile games, and Unreal having an upper hand for AAA level graphics if you have the team for it, you can feel reasonably confident that for the average 3D game, you're going to be just fine in either engine, as they're more than capable. And this is especially true for your first games and for small teams, as you're unlikely to stretch the limits of the engines. Making games is easier than ever, thanks in large part to these two engines, but I'd argue that finishing and releasing games remains just as difficult, maybe even more so with the amount of competition and the ever-increasing quality bar. And this comes to my main point, which is the real reason why I'll never switch to Unreal Engine. And that's because I use Unity, and it's simple as that. I'm not a Unity fanboy, I'm just really not interested in Unity versus Unreal debates, and I don't believe either is objectively better than the other. What I mean is that I use Unity, and I have for 6 years now. And with that comes a substantial pool of knowledge about how to develop games efficiently with the tool. More than just knowledge, once you spend time in an engine, you'll likely build familiarity with its workflows, and perhaps even build your own tooling within it that allows you to create content in a workflow that's custom tailored for you, leveraging your experience to improve your output quality and efficiency. For me personally, I spent years doing just that, and now I have a core library of reusable tools that allow me to create all kinds of content. In fact, virtually everything that happens in Farewell North, from cutscenes to gameplay sequences to visual effects, are scripted using my own tools, and these aren't specific to Farewell North. This means that I'll be able to bring these tools to my next project from day one, and I can trust that everything is well tested, performant, and suits my preferred workflow. Whenever I do need to do something novel, often it comes in the form of expanding my toolset, further investing in my experience with the engine. These years of experience, both in knowledge and tooling, can be much more valuable than shiny new features added by another engine, where you'd be starting from scratch and turning otherwise simple tasks into hours of research and tutorials. You'll definitely learn your second engine faster, with plenty of those skills being transferable, but by focusing on a single engine, you allow yourself the time needed to build that proficiency. Switching back and forth, or spending too much time thinking about your first engine, robs you of that essential time needed to become a master of either. So, going back to that comment about recreating Farewell North in Unreal to make it look better, Maybe Unreal has the better rendering engine today, maybe they do for the next decade, and I'm completely fine with missing out on that. Even if switching suddenly made the game look better, a premise I don't necessarily agree with, there are so many more components to an engine. Not to mention, of course, your ability to actually make use of these components and form a coherent and high-quality game around them. And that means that no single engine feature could possibly be important enough to sacrifice all those years of learning the rest. So my number one recommendation for new developers trying to decide on an engine? Just pick one. Don't stress it too much. Pick whichever looks interesting to you, maybe do a couple tutorials in each and pick whichever you feel is more intuitive, or go with another engine entirely. Either way, just pick one and get started, because the real benefits of an engine come years after the choice, when you feel a sense of mastery over the tool. This mastery brings efficiency, and efficiency is what's going to make the difference when you're years into a project and the motivation from the early days is long gone. Just remember, amazing games are made in each engine, because they really are the best engines we've ever had. Developing a game is a long journey, so the sooner you start putting in those years, investing in your knowledge and mastering your tools, the better off you're going to be, and no one feature is ever going to provide more benefit than the years of experience that you build. I hope you found this interesting. It's a topic I've been meaning to discuss for quite a while. Leave a comment below if you use a game engine and let me know how long you've been using it. I have this theory that the longer you use an engine, the more likely you'll find that the years of experience with the engine are more important than the engine itself. So let me know if you agree, or maybe you think I'm completely off here. As for me, I've been working on the end of Feral North lately, so I don't have much to share in the way of devlogs, as I obviously don't want to spoil anything. So let me know if you'd like to see more of these types of videos sprinkled in between devlogs in the future. In any case, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Action. Turn.